right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I am delighted and excited to have this next speaker with us. And she is an international recognizable naturopath chef and host of her cooking show called Tina's Ageless Kitchen. With more than 30 years of experience in human wellness, medicinal nutrition, and fitness training of all types, her ageless repertoire is endless. Variety in food and fitness is the main message in her Ageless Kitchen. Tina has assisted celebrities, professional athletes, and top-level executives in achieving their personal wellness goals naturally. Team building workshops, innovative employee retention strategies, and corporate wellness events are just some of the services she has brought to large corporations such as Pepsi International, the travelers companies, pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer. Tina was the first educational chef with Whole Foods Markets. You all know about Whole Foods, and led their initial community outreach program. She develops the whole people in store yoga studios and many of the current children's nutrition programs. Tina was selected as a spokesperson for the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women campaign in California and Nevada. She is effectively known as the walking encyclopedia of human wellness. So with me today, please help me welcome our amazing speaker, Tina Martini. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support. It's been an honor to spend decades working with people on their wellness goals.
Oh my goodness. And I cannot wait to dive right into it with you, Tina. So please share with us. I know there's a great wealth of knowledge, but how did it all start for you? What got you really inspired to on this 30 years journey of transforming lives this way?
Pulling carrots out of the ground with my grandfather.
Wow.
Being in the garden next to him and just working in the dirt in the sunshine. And I just, that's why my book is dedicated to him, because it was there really that started my passion and my love for the power of Mother Earth. And so even as a child, you know, at 8 years old, I really received the message, Dee Dee, that food is medicine and that movement is the catalyst for that food. And then what we think and how we apply all of those tools is how we live and how we get the most enjoyment out of our life.
Wow, at the age of 8, I can't imagine. I think this is when I was in second or third grade. Wow, no, I didn't have that experience or that epiphany or that calling like you did. So at the age of 8, how, I mean, I know that you were with your grandfather, you know, being in the garden and such. Were you introduced to all of that by him? And did you live in the farm, or what was the setting that you were in? How were you introduced to that at such a young age?
Well, I was raised in a little town. You know, it's kind of a medium town now, of course, but I was raised in a town that our neighbors had horses and chickens, and they weren't farms, they were homes with large backyards. But back then it was legal to have, you know, hens, and you see that coming around again more, Dee Dee, don't we? People are really into chickens now and really having gardens of their own. And so this turn back in a modern way is really exciting for someone like me, because I've been spreading the message of fitness for 42 years and the message of medicinal nutrition for 36 years. Well, January will be 36 years. And so it's been my life's calling. It's what I had put on my heart by the universe, I guess you would say. And so taking that experience with my grandfather in his beautiful garden, and my mother was an amazing artist and a nature woman who was treated very poorly as a child and had to overcome many things, such as being trafficked by her own father. And so seeing that pain in my mother and the way she dealt with it, of course, alcoholism was one thing, but the garden and the baking and the candy making. And as a child, we had a flower cutting garden as well as a vegetable and fruit garden. So I really always had fresh flowers in the house from my mother, paintings of flowers and nature. My father loved music and did mosaic. So my father was a very rare man, Dee Dee, in that he was a mathematician as well as an artist. And so he did things that were very linear, like mosaic artwork. And my mother was very fluid, and she suffered from clinical depression, which we didn't have that title back then. She also suffered from something called endometriosis. And the doctors, of course, back then didn't really know what was happening either. And so they recommended that she drink a quart of beer at night before she go to bed to deal with all the pain and the bleeding that is caused from endometriosis. So my mother suffered poor health, and this was a result of poverty in her childhood, the experience of having a father that was into the underworld and darkness. And so she healed herself, never having professional therapy, through the garden, through the baking, giving love through food. And then my grandfather was just the fix-it guy. People say MacGyver-ish, can fix anything with a paper clip. That was my grandfather. They called him Doc Martini. And he was not a medical person, he was an engineer. And so he could fix anything, he could build anything. And so they always had beautiful trellises and, shelving with beautiful pots of plants and flowers. My grandmother loved violets. So you can see that my whole world, even though it was marred by clinical depression with my parents fighting and alcoholism and all the things my mother had to deal with that I never had to deal with, it was a very enlightening environment, a very tumultuous environment that further inspired my creativity and my connection to the power of nature.
Wow, I am so in awe of all the details of your story as you were sharing about the environment you were in, the fresh flowers and all of the things. I was opening my mind to a page in the fairy tale story of some
Thank you. Well, it was the use of beauty and love through food and family gathering that was used to enlighten darkness, to heal darkness. And so, my father had his own stuff, as we all do. And so he was very controlling and critical. And I'm sure that formed my personality as well, in that I want to please people. And so I have to be mindful of being overly people pleasing and, really just coming from the heart. Like we were talking about when we first met, Dee Dee, that we were just, both following our passions and both just listening to our intuition. And I can't express enough hope for your viewers and your listeners that will follow their passion no matter what the world tells them. I often say in my classes and my cooking parties and events that we do a lot of fitness events and different things of this nature. And I often say, what would the world be like if when we express an idea, like, I think I'm going to become a chef that specializes in medicinal food, but the food's going to be still gourmet. Instead of everyone going, what a ridiculous idea, that's never going to work. Nobody's interested in that. And of course, 34 years ago, 36 years ago, Dee Dee, they weren't interested in it. But I saw the future. I saw a vision through my heart. And so I had to endure a lot of, that's never going to work, you're crazy, and keep pushing through. And so no matter what your vision is, and I want to support you, of course, in yours, and I want to support all of your listeners and viewers in theirs, because when we're all on our path of purpose and passion, the world is a peaceful place for everyone. It's when we're struggling for control, when we're struggling and hungry for attention, love, and power, that's when people, humans, go off track. Ego eases God out. And no matter what you call that universal power, the ego and fear that comes with the ego, I'm not good enough, all the criticism from the outside world, that only derails our radiance and our power. And so we've got to put on the armor and go out in the world every day and just think, who can I be a blessing to today? And if you come from that place, then the universe will bring all kinds of wonderful things to your path. And then you can choose.
Wow, Tina, I feel like you're like speaking gospel right now to me. And
Thank you.
I know that the audience is appreciating every word of yours. And so share with us, as you are passionate and this is your calling for this many years, what are you doing with the food, and how can we really learn more about what type of food is medicinal? Where do we begin to embark on this journey of health and wellness to really focus on building ourselves internally?
So your intelligence and brilliance, Dee Dee, is so refreshing. It is, how do we learn? How do we walk this journey? It's not a destination. Oh, I'm here and I'm never moving.
Yes.
No, we've got to move. The only thing that is constant in the universe is change. And I'm not the brilliant one that said that, of course. Everyone knows that saying, that that is the only constant in the universe, is change. And so being flexible, being like water,
Mhm.
and you can be firm and hard and ice-like when you need to be. You can be warm and comforting, healing and inviting. You can cleanse away the past, and you can make life and vibrancy for the future. And so when we just embrace becoming like water and just allowing ourselves to flow, life is so much more beautiful and pleasing. If you're trying to hold on and everything is a struggle, it's not meant to be. I'm sorry. I did that for years, trying to get myself to a certain place, and it just didn't work. So if we just really sit still and get connected, all of those things and all of those answers will come to us. What should we eat? How should we move? How should we live? All of those answers are already in you. It's just a matter of identifying your biological nature. And there's something called Ayurvedic medicine that does that better than any other form of medicine. It is, many people believe Chinese medicine is the oldest medicine. It is not. Ayurvedic medicine is the oldest medicine in the world, and they both work beautifully together. The Chinese medicine brings in the emotion of disease and illness, and every disease begins with dis-ease.
Mhm.
And so the Eastern wisdom is so right on track with connecting. Well, let me just say this. The first thing I ask you when I come into a consult is, what changed in your life when you got ill?
Mhm.
What changed before this happened to you?
Right.
Because believe me, somewhere along the line, if you have ended up with a really serious health problem or a health challenge that you're not able to deal with on your own, something changed in your life before that happened. And so, we want to identify our biological nature, and that gets back to the Ayurvedic medicine and the different doshas or body types that we are. And then seeing where we are in present time with our health now, and then making clear decisions, and that can be done over time. as to where we want to go with our health. And then the bottom line, and the number one question I ask people who are facing late stage cancer is, what are you willing to do to get well?
Yes.
That's it. That's it in a bottle. If we could just bottle that, we'd be billionaires. What are you willing to do to get well? And if the answer is just about anything or anything, and you truly mean it, then you're going to get your goal. Remember, 511 people that I worked with were told by their oncology team that they would die, and they did not. Within 90 days working with me, they turned around that diagnosis and they went on to live their full healthy lives.
Yes.
And I've never had anyone go over 90 days. And the last 2 cases I took, maybe the last 3 cases actually, were all well in 6 weeks.
Okay.
From a diagnosis of you would die.
Yes, and I am so delighted to be educated by you more on that. Is how do you work with clients, especially based on your experience working with 511 people who were diagnosed with, certain type of cancers? How do you work with them, and what does your program look like? Because I have promised a couple people so far that I would share your information with them. So I would love to learn more, and of course the audience would love to learn more. I'm sure if they know someone that may be struggling. So I would love to hear more about how we can get in your world and perhaps get your support on this.
Thank you. Yes, my honor to help. And at any stage, remember, it's never too late. I personally believe and have experienced it's never too late in any type of cancer or late stage heart disease. Dee, in February of 2018, I started my heart disease reversal program. And we have to remember that 650,000 people every single year die of preventable heart disease in the United States alone. Okay, that cannot continue, especially when we know how to rebuild a perfectly healthy human heart with no remaining signs of disease in less than 5 months. And it's not anything, we don't lock you in a box and feed you lettuce and water. That's not it at all. You still enjoy your life. You still enjoy social situations. Now, if you're facing late stage cancer, we've got to get on it. We've got to really lock it down and get the environment clean. So what I do is come in like a gentle hurricane. And so what that means to all your wonderful food and fitness lovers out there is I come in and I clean your house, and we get rid of, in a kind way, anything that offers poison to the environment or damages your immune system. And that can be carpeting. A lot of area rugs have plastic backing, and that's styrene. And so that's going into your environment every day. So we may roll those up and wrap them and put them in the garage while you're in treatment. And then you can make a decision later. Your chemical deodorants, hair products, we're all going to switch over to organic, no sodium lauryl sulfate at all. Anything with SLS, out. Anything with aluminum, out. Because all of that sends confusing messages. Now, this is really important. I need everyone to really tune in. Aluminum and things of that nature, chemicals in our food, pesticide, they don't cause cancer. What they do is they trick your immune system into thinking that they are not invaders. They skew the hormone receptors. So let's look at breast cancer just real quick. Your hormone receptors look like a goalpost on the football field. That's what hormone receptors look like. Now, in the healthy body, the hormones flow through effortlessly. And they do, through the endocrine system, what they're supposed to do. When we ingest foods that are really high in hormones and antibiotics, remember that pesticide and antibiotic chemicalized in the body tricks the body into thinking that it's estrogen.
Mm.
So pesticide, let's use herbicide, those kinds of things are seen in the body as estrogen. And so the body gets really confused. Again, confusing messages are sent. It's not really that this one thing causes cancer. It's that it's confusing your immune system repeatedly. And so the hormones start to flow through the receptors at an abnormal rate. And what this does is it twists the receptor. Now, as the hormone tries to force its way through the twisted receptor, it becomes twisted. And now your DNA, the blueprint for your life, your health, is misread. And so more confusion occurs. And so the hormones now are flowing through at an abnormal rate, and they're being damaged as they go through.
Right.
This is how a mass forms. Period. It's that simple. So when you eat things like cabbage or broccoli, or I mean, we can go on and on. We'll name some foods, or maybe we can put a list up for your viewers, Dee Dee, or your listeners. But as we eat those foods, universal wisdom is amazing. And so genistein and diazein, and we can post the phytonutrient chart as well if everybody's interested in that. It's also in my book. Now, they're round in nature. So again, these are phytonutrients. That's why you'll hear me say food with phyte.
Yeah.
Okay, so phytonutrients, diazein and genistein are just two. Now, those are round in nature, and get ready to get blown away. Every time I say this, I'm so amazed at the miracle of the body. They only park on top of the damaged receptor.
Oh my.
They don't park on top of the healthy ones. So they prevent hormones from going through those twisted receptors and becoming damaged.
So just eat cabbage and broccoli.
Yeah, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, radishes. I mean, I could go on and on. And we've got to remember that every different type of food has a different type of phytonutrient profile. So what do? We eat a wide variety of foods every day. We don't eat the same foods on and on. We've got to give ourselves that beautiful rainbow on our plate and on our palate to get all those phytonutrients, micronutrients, macronutrients, the whole bit. And so when we eat these foods with this universal wisdom, let's use Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, as an example, a terrible disease, suffering to no end. And asparagus will someday be the cure for that, because asparagus contains something called sarsaparagine. Sarsaparagine is the cure for ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, and other motor neurodegenerative diseases where we start to shake, where we start to lose cognition, where we start to move more toward a wheelchair. Those type of diseases will be ended with omega-3 fatty acid and sarsaparagine.
Wow. You are truly encyclopedia of health and wellness and food.
Thank you. Well, I've devoted my whole life to it, and you know, it's fun. I mean, I think people might think, oh my gosh, do we really want to go to a class with her and listen to, you know, dimethylaminothine for an hour? Well, forget all the big words. My dad used to call them $10 college words. You know, just forget about all that. What we look at when we do a cooking party together, everyone gets involved. Everyone tastes what they make with their own hands. We generally select 3 recipes before we get together, so everybody knows what the menu is. And we break off in teams depending on how many people, and everybody gets a recipe. And then we sit down at the end and we enjoy all the wonderful, delicious medicine that everyone helped put together. And as you're dining, I'm filling you in on all the good things that are happening in your body as you enjoy that wonderful meal that you prepared with your friends and family.
Wow, wonderful. So, Tina, are these classes and programs are in person, or is there an opportunity for any virtual events that you may have?
Well, we can do Zoom as well, and we have. I've done with a company in France. I did a Zoom program, and we did yoga in the morning and cooking in the afternoon. So that was very popular. The employees loved it. Everyone could tune in from wherever they were. And we had some of the management come into the kitchen with me. So we had a few people actually in with me. And then the rest of the crew watched on Zoom. And it was really fun. I mean, we've just had some great events, especially with what's going on with the COVID and all of that kind of stuff. You know, for me, Dee Dee, I believe in building a strong immune system, and that's what I'm all about. So if that's what your listeners and viewers are all about, come see me, because that's what really needs to happen. Is we want to get our bodies with internal armor as well as external armor. And so building the muscles, you know, creating the mindset, and really learning how to put the foods together in a quick, easy, efficient way. I think that is what's really lacking right now. There's all kinds of wonderful programs out there. Believe me, I've got more competition than the day is long, and that's wonderful. However, a lot of the programs are not addressing the why. And I think that's really what sets me apart. Is my entire focus for decades now has been the why.
Right.
And so I find when people connect to the why and really kind of own it, it becomes part of their lifestyle. It just becomes natural.
Yes.
And that's all I want to do. And let's talk about for just a moment how I accumulate all of this into a bundle for you. We're just going to call it the pyramid of power. And here's the 3 sides to the powerful pyramid: medicinal nutrition, structured fitness, and mind-body techniques. And you'll notice that the mind-body techniques are the foundation or the base of the pyramid. So what we think is where we start. And just picking one small thing to do this week. Just one small thing to do this week. Try a new exercise. Go on my Insta story. I break down yoga poses. I break down, like today we're looking at working with gliders. And so if you go over to my Insta story, you'll see that there will most likely be a nutrition tip, maybe a recipe, or there'll be an exercise broken down so you can do great form and get great benefits. And then there'll be a mind-body quote or something, an affirmation that we can use, or maybe one that I've used in my own life to overcome challenge. And so just building a simple community that changes every day, I've found it really almost much more community gathering, if you will, than my website. And we've got lots of visitors every month on the website, and I do appreciate that. The website is really more of a tool that I use to introduce myself and introduce my book. And then if you'd like to join the community, I encourage you to follow me on Instagram and then get into the Food and Fitness Lovers family on the Insta stories, because we've got something new every day for you there.
Fantastic. And so specifically for those, I guess we can find all the information on your website, but
yes, ma'am.
Specifically for people who are curious about the 90-day program that you have to reverse or reduce cancer, what does that look like? And is that information also on your site?
It is not on my site. I briefly speak of working with professional athletes. Again, the website is more of just an introduction to what's possible. I've worked with some of the most elite athletes in the world, Olympians, gold medal winners. And I've worked with people that have not been able to get out of bed for more than a year. And so it's the entire spectrum, Dee Dee, wherever anyone is at on their path of, be it even mental health wellness. I'm not a counselor and I don't want to represent myself as such, but I have lived a life that has been quite challenging. And I've worked with many, many people in every situation you can imagine. People who are an hour away from suicide, people who are a week away from dying of fourth stage cancer, a 42-year-old who just had his first child, who got off the spin bike and had a massive widowmaker heart attack. And because people didn't realize what was happening, he almost died. He now has a better ejection fraction, which is the amount of blood your heart can push back into the body. Very important factor. Your ejection fraction is really important, and we want it up around 60%. Well, when you've had a widowmaker heart attack, you're down about 30% ejection fraction. You're very serious.
Wow.
And so we were able in 4.5 months to rebuild him a brand new heart, even with his love of chicken wings and ranch dressing.
Oh my goodness. Wow, you are a wealth of knowledge, and I would say a blessing to this earth, because
thank you, Dee Dee, you as well.
Especially
the 90-day program, let's do that on kind of a personal basis, because people, don't need their information out in the world.
right.
So if you want to contact me through the website, a lot of people contact me through my Instagram. I'm very surprised at how many people actually message me through the Instagram itself.
Okay.
And so you feel free to do that. We can post my cell phone number, Dee Dee, and people can call me directly. I'm an old school cave woman. Remember that people like Dee Dee are bringing me into the digital world, because that's how we reach the people that need help. I'm more of a person to person. I love to get the corporate groups together. So if you're the manager of a company, or you are the CEO and own your own company, something of this nature, where you may have employees that would like to have a fitness event or a wellness event, be it either on the Zoom or in person, we can do that, and we can design it custom to what your people are interested in. So if they want to look at athletic performance and recovery, I can take them through the day of an NFL player.
Amazing.
If they'd like to, if they've had chemo and radiation and are suffering from health challenges that come from the allopathic treatment, we can overcome that as well. And I can help you put your skin back together and really, get that radiant glow that you had before you did chemo and radiation. It's really a tough treatment. And so the 90 days is much easier on you and on your body. For me, Dee Dee, it has never made sense. And I want to say this with all due respect to everyone. It has never made sense to me to poison an already sick body. So I do not support chemotherapy and radiation. If you have done it, or if you are doing it now and you would like to look at something else, please call me. Please message me. At least we can chat. 5 minutes of your time may change your life forever. It may change my life forever. We don't know. And it may be just really nice to meet you, and I wish you well on your journey. And that's okay too.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. And I know so much to the audience as well, because there are so much information out there and most is very conflicting. And
Yes.
as much as, yes, I do support conventional medicine and all of the things, but people, I really do believe that's why I put on this show is that all of the options, including the alternatives, and the natural way of healing, because I believe also our bodies are so designed to heal itself if we know how to nurture it. So thank you so much, Tina, for what you do, what you're about, who you are. And
Thank
oh my
you.
goodness, for 30 something years, 40 something years of dedicating your whole life to this and believing in humanity and what we have to create from Mother Earth. I just don't have all the words to describe how honored and delighted and just so grateful to be in your presence and knowing that there is such a person that's doing this kind of work in the world. It makes my heart full. So I'm so filled with being in your presence today, Tina.
Thank you so much, Dee Dee. I really appreciate your support. Much health and happiness to everyone. And let me know how I can help.
Yes, thank you so much.